In this video I'm going to talk about a couple of theories about technological progress. I'm going to lay out the different theories. I'm going to mention which theory I think is the most important. So who am I? My name is Joosten, I'm a biohacker and a cyborg futurist. And I write articles and make videos, so if you like this video, do not forget to subscribe to my channel down below. And as a profession, I give webinars about the topics of human enhancement, human augmentation, transhumanism, the impact of technology. And of course, a major theme in these kind of topics is also ethics. And besides giving webinars, I also deliver keynote presentations, and you can hire me for consultancy and advice work. So if you're interested, please visit my website in the link down below. The 5 theories I want to discuss with you are the Singularity, Amara's law, Recombination, Serendipity, and the Jetson Fallacy. First one is Singularity. That is a term that was first used in 1993 by Vernor Vinge. He's a professor and a science fiction author. And before that, the term singularity was also used in physics. Well, I'm not a physics expert, so I want to see if I have the right explanation, but it should be a moment in space and time, which one of these is curved that immensely that space and time is not applicable anymore. We do not have space and time at that moment. Well, now it's mostly been used in a technological point of view. Also Ray Kurzweil, a famous futurist, he also made the term singularity more popular. And now the definition of singularity is one where we have like a supercomputer, like general artificial intelligence that surpasses not only our individual intelligences, but intelligences of mankind in general. That's the first one. And another sort of definition of singularity is that also because of the combination of a lot of technologies at that moment in time, we as mankind, we cannot have any say in how the future will develop. At that moment, technology has a larger impact on our future than we have. And one of the fundamentals under the singularity is Moore's law. So not Murphy's law, but Moore's law, which was stated by an engineer at Intel at the moment, Gordon Moore, where he saw that every 2 years there's a doubling of processor speed, a reduction in cost, and also we could have more processors on a microchip. And that led, among other things, people like Ray Kurzweil to predict the singularity. And at the moment, he and also among others thinks that will be around the year 2045. So the singularity is the first theory I want to discuss with you. The second theory I want to discuss is Amara's law. Roy Amara, he was a scientist. He lived from April 1925 till December 2007. He was an American researcher, a scientist and a futurist. And his law is as follows. Usually we tend to overestimate the impact of technology in the short run, and we underestimate it in the long run. So to give you an example, think about self-driving cars. For years now, we think that self-driving cars will be on the streets any moment, but still it takes a long time because they're not yet, they are there, but not like in the intensity that we kind of thought of or predicted. But at the moment we have self-driving cars, then the impact on our world is gigantic, because we also have to think of other infrastructure in the cities. Maybe we don't need a lot of parking spaces. So that's the idea of Amara. So in a couple of years, not that much will change, but in the longer run, things will definitely change. That's the summary of Amara's law. The third theory I want to discuss is recombination. I will talk a lot about technologies and technological developments, and I also can make some extrapolation or some predictions about how these technologies are going to play out in the long run. But the most interesting things actually happens with combinations. For example, if you take genetics with artificial intelligence, so we can analyze with artificial intelligence which genes correlate with certain character traits or maybe also some physical traits, for example. And the same would apply for the use of sensor technology with biotechnology. Maybe in the future we have sensors that can track and measure certain biological processes. So you see a combination of technologies that will have the most impact on the future. But that's of course also difficult, because most people can think of one technology, how that is going to play out in the future, but you will also have some usual but maybe also some unpredictable combinations of technology, because technologies of course do not only influence each other, but we also have social, cultural, religious, political factors, economic factors, etc. that are also influencing how technology will develop in the long run. The fourth theory I want to discuss is serendipity. And serendipity is where you are looking for one thing and then you find out that you actually stumble across another invention. One famous example, which is also closely related to superhuman capabilities or human enhancement, or what you may call it, is Viagra. Viagra was firstly developed to help patients with high blood pressure. And then they found out that the participants in the pilot, they were not sending their packages back, and they thought, well, what is going on here? So that's an example of serendipity. Another example related to healthcare is that some of the first inventors of cars, they were thinking that they could be used in healthcare. Well, you probably think, of course, ambulance, etc. But that was not the case. They thought that when a patient would have some illnesses in his lungs, a patient would sit in the back of the car and the car would drive circles, so the patient would be in thin air and that would be beneficial for their lungs. Well, now we see that cars have all other applications, and besides ambulances is not really related to healthcare. And the last theory, number 5, is the Jetson fallacy. And the Jetson fallacy is coined by Professor Michael Bass of the Vanderbilt University. And it's something you see a lot in science fiction, movies, series, etc. Also in the Jetsons. In the Jetsons you can see it's a family from the 1960s in America, and they live 100 years in the future, so they live in 2060. And what's interesting is that the world around them has changed. They have flying cars and robot maids, etc. But they themselves, they're still the same. And Professor Michael Bass says, well, that's a fallacy, because it's very unlikely that we will not use the progress in science and technology to actually change and augment ourselves. So that's the Jetson fallacy. And the Jetson fallacy is also what I think is the most important of these theories. Of course, they are all important, but we're mostly focused on how, for example, artificial intelligence will impact the human body and us as human species. So to conclude, I talked about 5 theories of technological and scientific progress. I mentioned which one of these I think is the most interesting, and that's the Jetson's fallacy. If you have a question or a remark, do not forget to leave a comment down below. So thank you for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe to my channel down below, so when I post a new video you also get a notification, and go to my website if you want to have a free download. And you can also go to my website if you want to look at my articles, and also if you want to hire me for a webinar on human enhancement, human augmentation, the impact of technology, technology ethics, transhumanism, or if you want me to deliver a keynote at your symposium or event. Or you can also hire me for consultancy and for advice. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you at the next video.